Hello, hello, YouTube. Welcome back to episode 112, and we find ourselves at Flame Peak in the mountaintops of the Giants. We see ore deposits of iron, as well as, well, the hard-to-forget giant corpses of, well, giants, for lack of a better term. Here we have a troll. He has a golden sword, and I want to show off the blasphemous blade a little bit. And that Ash of Ore heals you, actually. Ooh, I meant to roll. I didn't think that would work. And they've got weird eyes. Let me see if I can get a look at them. They have yellow eyes. That was part of the demonstration. There's Riker's Rancor, which follows and explodes a whole bunch. Ooh, still hit me. Not particularly great for super mobile enemies. Should probably stop messing around. Oh, and on death, you get a little heal, thanks to the Blasphemous Blade. So it's much like that curved horn item you can get from the Ancestor followers, as well as the Serpent's curved sword. So for some reason we have finger creepers up here. They're very weak to fire, but they're still very annoying. And they drop level 7 smithing stones. So let's continue on our trek. We have many bodies to look into. I might be a little low for what we need. I think we can hop up here thanks to Torrent. Yeah, there we are. Don't want to jump too far, damage ourselves. But on our way in, we saw that there's a ruin on this plateau here. And that's what we're working our way to. And so, it seems, as we get farther in the game, we get to older and older stuff in terms of the game's timeline, roughly speaking, right? There's always exceptions, but it's another one of these heroes' graves, right? It still has the same decapitated statue of a fellow, or someone, holding an emaciated corpse. And given that the figure was beheaded, it kind of indicates to me some sort of iconoclasm, destruction of icons, which is another sign to me. Yeah, there's a hand that crawls up here from this divide. Can't get you, though. Well, he might be able to shoot a spell, but he can't charge you. Anyway, as I was saying, it seems to me that these heroes' graves were repurposed from whichever previous culture had them. Repurposed by the Erd Tree, and that's why there's not any Erd Tree iconography on the outside of the building. Its symbols are very different, and so we have these suckers all over the place. Even here in this door, I don't see a darn sign. We can remove that thing, and we have another one of these give you a slight sense of vertigo elevators that for some reason spin ever so slightly while you're going down. I don't know who designed it, but that was rude of them. They didn't need to do that. Ooh, makes you woozy, doesn't it? And we have these figures here. Not holding their libation jugs, but it's that same priestess of whatever culture Queen Marika co-opted. Giant conquering hero's grave. And we can take a rest here. Regain ourselves, and maybe I can find a better place to try out Riker's Rancor. To my knowledge, it's not the best. It's okay on big things, and it does fire damage. I'm trying to remember its requirements. Let me find it. Yeah, 40 int, 18 faith. Take a sip of my water, excuse me. And so it seems very odd to me that a lot of hybrid spells are slated one way or the other, with only like maybe the fundamentalist incantations requiring equal parts of both. So it seems that if you want to do a hybrid build, you kind of want to pick one to be better than the other. It seems if you go equal, the stat investment is just a little too steep. Now, if you're over-leveling and don't care about being at a meta level, go for it. Like, have fun with it. It's just a bit expensive, but you'll get there eventually. All right, Flame Protect Me. Let's take a look-see here. All right. The most ancient of the Fire Monk's incantations creates a fire within that greatly increases fire damage negation. It is said that this incantation was used during the war against the giants long ago, during which it protected the champions of the Erd Tree. So, Fire Monks, people who came from the Erd Tree to help fight the giants, and it seems that they also wanted to help keep the Flame of Ruin under control. And he has so much health. My goodness. I don't know how long I was going to use Spanish Blade. I mostly wanted it for the Finger Creepers, because they're very weak to fire. I think I'll use it a little longer. But, we have banners in here. And weirdly enough, they are banners of the Two Fingers, which we know that the Two Fingers have existed before the age of, well, the Golden Lineage, before, Marika's age as a god, because they were trying to pick between her and the Glowmite Queen for Empyrean, if you recall. So the Twin Fingers are really old. Kind of makes sense why they'd be in such a miserable state. Come here. Oh, now they're dealt with. We jumped down over here because it helped keep us safe. Because there's shadowy monsters that we need to have be safe. Now I need to figure out a way to deal with this horrible monster ahead of me. We'll try this out, but we may not like it. Alright, so we're going to anger this thing. Probably should have switched to my crit talisman. That might work just nicely, though. There we are. What does it drop in its greatsword? Nice. Got 2 of those. On a character I don't plan to use them on. Have I looked at its description? I bet I have, but we'll look at it again. Stone greatsword wielded by Erd Tree burial watchdogs. Though decorated with the Watchman's Eye, the pupil was taken by grave robbers and is now hollow, leaving the sword a mere lump of stone. Which I think is very funny. Because they must have stolen the sword from the burial watchdog and then left. And he still has the sword. So kind of a funny thing there. Walking in here is kind of a death trap. There are imps that'll try to get you from all sides. But as long as you run quickly upstairs, and they'll follow hot on your trails. Come here. Come on. Thankfully, they get the good old stun. I don't think there's anything else over there, but there might be. Yeah, over here there is a glovewort. So we'll be grabbing that. But, unique things to this dungeon, those banners of the Two Fingers. I think it's kind of neat how the flag isn't rectangular, how it actually has 2 little, things protruding, kind of resembling fingers. It's cute that they would do that. Also, there's the statues of trolls complete with their golden swords. What is worth noting, however, let me find my industrial lighting rocks. Where did I put those? Am I out? Am I out of the industrial lighting rocks? I'll be quite upset at myself if I am. I probably am. Well, let's make some more. I should have more than enough stuff for it. I should have like 4. Where were they? I must have been missing them. I will find them, and I will throw them on the ground. There they are. So I can stop being a dummy. Here we go. Pop. Alright, so sure enough, they have the Troll's Golden Sword. And thanks to our lighting, we can tell that they're not quite stone. Lost Izalith in Dark Souls 3, the little smidge that you get to go to underneath the tomb with all the skeleton skull. Its name is escaping me. They also had statues of demons from previous games. And those statues look like they were made of flesh meat. So they did it again. I don't know if it saved time and they didn't want to do a new texture or what, but all these giants here, maybe this is how they memorialize them. I know in some lores and mythologies, trolls tend to be more stone than flesh. And we know there's such a thing as stone digger trolls. So there might be a very good likelihood that they just were put there and they won't decompose like people would. So we're going to use the Margit Shackle to deal with that pesky pillar. Sorry, buddy. I knew you were there. Fire Monk's Hood. And this is the first guy you can actually farm that Fire Monk Flame Sword that I showed you much earlier in the playthrough. Okay. I think we may need to move that pillar up when we get up there. So I'm going to equip the Margit Shackle to have quick access to that. I don't know when we're going to need it, but I keep falling back on the Glint Blade Phalanx and the impaling thrust of this sucker. Which, I mean, it's just too good. Maybe it's a little boring. Maybe I should use other things. Makes things quick, though. We have one of these bad boys. I think now is the appropriate time to use our Margit Shackle because it'll fill in the floor for us. Yes. What menace in the dark do we have to deal with? I know I see a little curved, forked greatsword over there. Oh, there they are. That's what I was worrying about. It works. Alright, we'll switch the weapon. I'm starting to feel bad for using it. We'll use the Mogwin Spear, a different great spear. Because I decide to upgrade it. Come here. Yeah, come here. It'll be fun. You'll have a blast. Nothing bad is going to happen. And we're just going to poke him because we don't have time for criticals on little mooks like that. Okay, I think that's it for that. And we get the Cranial Vessel Candle Stand. If you look at the head there of the candle stand, it looks like the head of the fire prelates that we fought before. So let's take a look at this item. Candle stand used in worship of Birak, the most hallowed monk prelate of the Giant's Flame. Concerned over the lazy arrogance with which the monks treated the flame, Birak severed his own head as a lesson to the others, intending it to be used as a candle stand. His faith yet smolders from within the cranial vessel. And we'll take a look at that, and I'm going to lower the pillar now, because it's making noise that I don't want. And there it is. Yeah, it looks like a candle stand spear stuck through the middle there. It's not just his helmet, his head's supposedly in here. In fact, there's a little bit of red beard poking out. I've never noticed that before, and that's kind of gross, kind of worrying, but it is a hammer. I believe it was a hammer. Yeah, it's a great hammer. I don't know what it scales with primarily. Looking at its numbers, though, I have a feeling it's strength, but I could be wrong. Might lean towards strength. But it might have a good enough time for faith. But it does this. And that initial shockwave, though, it didn't look like a whole lot. That initial shockwave actually hits pretty hard. I've had people surprise me and chunk me, and it has a lot of hyper armor. So, kind of neat. Alright, let's keep moving. I would like to get done with more than this dungeon in this episode, but I'm not going to bite off more than I could chew. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock and keep it a good length. Alright, here we have more statues, more banners, more troll statues. We have a door. I remember I got stuck here once because I saw the door. I didn't know how to get past it for the life of me. I think we can send this back up for our benefit. We can also pull the crank here to open the door. Which, if you're playing multiplayer, you might want to... Oh, shoot, there's probably something down there. Oh, I remember what's down there. Okay. Yeah, so there is... That does lead somewhere. You can, like, hit the crank and then get in the elevator really fast if you need to. But, for the most part, you don't need to. But we do need to lure this troll over. If I can speak. Hi, buddy. Come get mad at me. You're a lot bigger than the statues by the looks of it. Yeah, you don't want to get too far away, because otherwise he'll just yell at you. Really? That's not in? That worked out. Can I get to his head? Oh, I can. Get his hamstrings. And killing him opens a door to the boss, actually. But we have other things to explore briefly. But yeah. There's the door. Look for more statues. I knew there were statues at the far end over there, but I want to get up on that ledge before I start trying to gawk at him. Maybe it'll be a bad angle, we'll find out. But it opened the boss door, so we could go assault the boss right now if we so choose. Do kind of want a friend for that. Well, I guess I don't need one. I'll have Lutel in the bar just in case. Okay, so let's get down here. I don't think I want this weapon, though. What do I want? Let's do a set of these bad boys. I like these bad boys. I should use the pickaxes again soon, though. Nice fire prelit man. And his head's all lit up. Okay, I have not been abusing these as much as I ought to. But we find a great grave glove ward down here. And just beside a casket against the wall, we find a giant seal. Let's take a look at that item. Sacred seal depicting the one-eyed god of the fire giants, adorned with braids of red hair. So the one-eyed god of the fire giants, sure enough, is the fell god. So if we didn't have enough confirmation, here it is. Sacred seal wielded by the fire monks and prelates. This catalyst enhances giants' flame incantations. So all the fire incantations. Not just the fire damaging ones, I suppose. So the frenzied flames don't count. But all the ones that have the fire monks kind of seal on it in background, so catch flame, O flame, giant's flame take thee, those sorts. Okay, I think this is when we can safely hop down. And if I recall correctly, there are 2 burial watchdogs. Here's the elevator that we saw earlier, right, that you can use to go up and down if you so choose. And you can move the elevator if you need to kill them, but the burial watchdogs are such a chore. I don't really worry about it. I just run past them, grab the items, and go up the elevator. Elevator. The ladder. What's wrong with me? Yeah, fighting them's kind of low priority. I don't like burial watchdogs. Not at all. Suppose if you need to farm them, but if you need to farm them, you might as well fight the first one in the dungeon, then reset repeatedly. There's probably a better one to go to, actually. A better dungeon. Okay. Up here. Yes. So, 2 more gloveworts for upgrading our boys, our spirit ashes. And there are statues here. I think one of the places we've seen statues like this, yes, are the maidens without hands that we saw at the very beginning of the game. After we got wrecked, or after we wrecked the golden, the grafted scion. So we saw this briefly after Melina gave us our flasks. There was 4 of these statues up the stairs before that real world grace. You know, above and beyond the tutorial area where there's all those prompts. So yeah, I don't know why they're here or why they're all missing their hands, but kind of like the statue above, it makes me wonder if having their hands missing is vital. It's an icon that they needed to destroy. Now, given their posture, I don't think they're holding a whole body like the one up top. Otherwise, they probably would have wrecked that icon as well, right? So what sort of symbolism would they have? Well, we know that the other statues above, the green rusted ones, or that have that patina of oxidization around them, they look like the libation statues with the jugs that we've seen before, but they don't have jugs, so they weren't altered. It makes me wonder, and this could be speculation, or this is speculation rather, so take with some salt. What if they had jugs? What if they had jugs, right? As in, you know, the for libations, right? What if libations weren't a sign of life and blessings in the previous culture? What if the sap or the blessings of the great tree, not the Erd tree, the great tree that came before, what if those blessings were administered to the dead instead? Well, Queen Marika probably wouldn't like that because she administers the blessings to the living. She has removed Destined Death, or the Rune of Death, from the Golden Order, right? She removed that string of code from the logic of the world. And so if she didn't want anything associated with it, maybe she would remove statues holding jugs pertaining to death and crypts. It's an association she may not want. The statue Rosas over here, though, I believe he's a transplant. I believe he is a sign of the new age of the Erd Tree taking over the previous culture, and he is a means by which those who go in the catacombs can deal with the shadowy constructs of the previous culture. He has the cure, so to speak, to allow them to be harmed. Now, what the prelates have to do with this place, I think it's just because they're in the mountaintops of the giants. I don't know what they would be here for, or what they're guarding necessarily, but things to think about. It would also explain why there's skeleton iconography that's nowhere else in the Golden Order or Golden Lineage. They hate the undead. They hate skeletons. But if there was a culture like the Deathbird culture that, you know, the Deathbirds that their mother's the twin bird and they served an outer god, if that culture made these, then it makes sense that they would have depictions of skeletons, depictions of ghost flame, croziers of power, what have you. And that means all the trolls are a later addition as well. How long the 2 finger banners have been here, couldn't tell ya. But still, I don't think we've seen those anywhere else. It even has the ciphers on the fingers themselves, which is funny because that's supposedly what they read in the language of light. Okay. I think we are good to switch some things out. Guess we'll just go for tankiness. You know what? Maybe it's pickaxe time. It's been a bit. If I can find my pickaxes. Perfect. And I'll try to switch to jump, or the claw talisman if I remember to. That was mean in terms of damage. We'll try the Riker's Rancor again, just because I want to know. It just doesn't hit him. Oh, scratched him. Really not that dependable. Why am I using ice on this guy? What a horrible idea. Rude. But yeah, just a hero Zamor. This one's a boss for some reason. But hey, we get their whole set of armor and their swords, so that's probably why he's here. Because remember, the heroes of Zamor fought along the heroes of the Erd Tree against the fire giants. They hated fire giants. Makes me wonder why he's locked back here. Kind of interesting. But yet more bodies in the roots of the Great Tree. A practice that makes you wonder, did it happen during the Great Tree? Or were bodies fed to the roots of the Great Tree once the Erd Tree was grafted into the top of it? Questions. Alright, well, let's look at the Zamor curved sword. Weapon wielded by the Knights of Zamor, who earned great renown during the war against the giants, like I was talking about. In apparent devotion to winter, the curved blade is styled after an icy wind and imbued with a powerful frost effect. Now, this weapon is a unique weapon because it has its own attack pattern of all the curved swords. No other curved sword has this attack pattern at this point in the game. They might add it to a DLC weapon, I doubt it, but they could. I think it's mostly the light attacks. I think the heavies are almost normal. Yeah. It's a really short curved sword as well, or curved greatsword. At least compared to weapons like the dismounter sword. It's short, and I wish it was a little longer. And this attack, if it was longer, this attack pattern would probably be a little more forgivable. Because I think it's a little bit slower than the other curved sword's natural attack pattern. I think it's just the light attacks. I think all the other attacks, all the runnings, jumpings, they're normal. It does come with Zamor Ice Storm, though, which is very much like the Ice Storm spell we got, but on a weapon, and it is a dex weapon. You can't see it now, but trust me, it's a dex weapon. Alright, let's look at all them armors that we got. All those armor bits for the Zamor set. Mask worn by Knights of Zamor, hailed as heroes in the war against the giants. These long-lived warriors, clad in biting freezing winds, are said to have been the mortal enemies of the fire giants since time immemorial. Time immemorial. Time immemorial. Okay, so they hated them a long time, but they didn't really have an edge against them until later on, thanks to the forces of the Golden Order and the Erd Tree helping out in that conflict. Okay, so I think we're good to start climbing some of the peak. We don't have a whole lot of time, but that's okay. I think we have enough to get to the next grace, basically. So that is our goal. Get to the next grace. Unfortunately, this place, even though it's packed with all these bodies and it looks like a grand place for doing battle, there's not a whole lot here in terms of items. And they're items we're going to get to next time. We won't have time for them today. I remember there being... I think there's a sword monument somewhere over here, though, that I forgot about because I'm a silly person. I could be wrong. It could be somewhere else. I thought there was a sword monument. It must be up higher. Give me my health back. There we go. Just a little bit of health. As a treat. I really should have looked up where these suckers were beforehand. But I think with Torrent we'll be plenty fast. I swear it was on one of these cliffs. Also, the giants vary in size. Like, this one over here is a lot bigger than the others. There are items. I don't think they're worthwhile, though. Troll fighting some crows. I swear there was a sword monument. I may need to visit it next episode. Yeah, more bodies. There is a church over there. Where is the stone sword monument? I'll look it up and we'll find it next time. We can see the lift of Rold, though, so we can see how high we've climbed for sure. The amount of height we've gained in altitude is crazy. There's a giant skull, though, over there. Kind of neat. I didn't put it on any of these. Oh, what a shame. Oh, I'm being kicked off my mount. Understandably. I feel like doing something silly, though. So we have Okina here, of all places. Oh! It's hard to hit him with it. Yeah, he can kind of just roll out of it, which is kind of a shame. Well, parries are reliable, but here's Okina. We've met some of his servants following after him. And now we have his rivers of blood and his mask. So let's look at those, and then I think we'll sit down in the church and Melina will have a few more words for us. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to close out the episode. Not too much after 30 minutes. Okay, so Rivers of Blood, infamous weapon in the community. Weapon of Okina, swordsman from the land of reeds. A cursed weapon that felled countless men. When Moog, the Lord of Blood, first felt Okina's sword and madness upon his flesh, he had a proposal to offer Okina the life of a demon whose thirst would never go unsated. I imagine thirst for blood. And unique skill, Corpse Piler, forms a blade of cursed blood for repeated interweaving successive attacks. It's kind of parry bait if risky. Follow up with an additional input for further successive attacks. So it has a 2-hit, a 2-hit, and a single hit. So the 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, the middle one has 3 hits. Okay, so it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 6 is really easy to parry. If you're watching for it, the first part's probably the easiest, because you don't want to get punished by the third part, though there are more parts to parry. Ideally, you have golden parry on your shield, not carry in retaliation, which can parry at a little bit of a range. Because you could be slightly out of range of the weapon, only get hit by the little trails, which are a lot weaker since they got nerfed. So, okay. And the mask. I almost forgot the mask. Something just gave me flasks. A wooden mask that depicts an old man baring his teeth. The source of the sobriquet of the great swordsman of the lands of reeds. I'm not sure how that's said. Raises dexterity as it lowers focus. So I think focus makes you more vulnerable. If you have lower focus, you're more vulnerable to madness and sleep. Kind of interesting. Never realized that about this mask, but it gives you 3 points of dexterity. It looked like 1 because the consort's mask was getting in the way, but it gives you 3. It would put our dex from 53 to 56. So there's that. Wait, did I say anything else? The more he sharpened his mind, the more the absurdities of the world came into stark relief, and so Okina renounced it all and rose to a higher plane. There was only himself, his katana, and its mastery. Before long, Okina became a demon of a swordsman. He, I believe, helped us with the Radon fight before going completely bonkers. So, funny that. Madness takes us all in the end. Well, let's take a sit down here and see what Melina has to say, and we'll cut the episode there. Next time we'll be able to finish this place. Oh! Melina has nothing to say to us here, despite us being at a church. A church with a statue of America, no less. Fascinating. Well, we'll increase our flask and cut the episode there. Thank you for joining me for episode 12 today. It was a joy to have you. Join me next time for episode 113, where we will finish the Flame Peak, and then we'll probably head to the northern region of the Mountaintops of the Giants. We could probably do all that in one episode. Hopefully, unless I get stuck talking and ranting. Thank you again, and bye-bye.
Hey!